a beer and a bit of faith. It was an ordinary Friday afternoon in the village pub. You know, the kind of place where the bar stools are just a little too high, the music plays a little too soft, and everyone knows each other. I was sitting there with a beer in front of me, half empty but nicely cold. As the foam slowly settled, I thought, how many talks have I had here about life, about love, about loss, about all those things that never come with a manual. I never go to church, never really have. Agnostic, that's what they call it. I simply don't know. And honestly, I find that quite a comfortable place to be, somewhere between believing and not believing, where doubt isn't something bad, but a sign that you're still thinking. Still, I often smile when people ask if I believe in anything at all. Because yes, I do believe in some things. Not in miracles or holy books, but in people who try to do good, even when no one is watching. And sometimes, I think if faith were a bit more like beer, I might actually go to church every Sunday. Look, when you have a beer, you don't knock on doors trying to push it on others. You don't hand it to children who are not old enough to choose for themselves, and no one has ever been burned at the stake for preferring a different brand of beer. You also don't have to wait 2,000 years for your second one, and if you like it a little too much, there are support groups that can help you stop. The men at the bar laughed when I said that, but it wasn't just a joke. There was a grain of truth in it, as there usually is in things half said in jest. My grandfather was a minister, Dutch Reformed, one of those old-fashioned types with a deep voice and a small notebook where he wrote all his sermons. He was a good man, I don't doubt that, but he believed the world could only get better if everyone thought the way he did. And that, I think, is where faith starts to go wrong. When love turns into a conviction, you must defend. You lose sight of what it was meant to be. When you pour love into rules, it starts leaking out at the bottom. I looked at the foam sticking to the glass and thought about how many wars were fought in the name of things that were once meant to bring people together, faith politics, or just that feeling of us versus them. The moment it's more about power than about people, we lose what really matters. A young guy next to me said, "But without faith, wouldn't the world feel empty?" And I nodded. "Sure." I said, "But faith isn't the same as being right. Real faith isn't about knowing, it's about daring to trust, and you can do that with or without a church." He thought for a moment. "So basically, you believe in doubt?" He said. I laughed. "Maybe I do. Doubt is more honest than certainty." The bar grew quieter. The conversations slowed down. You could hear the low hum of voices, the soft clink of a spoon in a glass. I thought of all the times I'd seen people argue about what's right or wrong, and how rarely that ever brought anyone closer together. Maybe I thought, what we need isn't more conviction, but more kindness, more space and more respect for one another's views, more courage to say, "I don't know either, but I'd like to find out with you." An older man at the end of the bar raised his glass. "I'll drink to that," he said. We toasted, and for a moment it felt like everyone understood, that quiet sense of connection that doesn't come from words but from a simple gesture. 2 glasses touching. I told them that I do believe not in heaven or hell, but in all those small moments of goodness, in someone who gives you a lift for no reason, in a neighbor who checks in just because it was a bit too quiet next door, in someone who admits their mistakes without shame. That, to me, is faith. It isn't holy. It's human. Maybe I said, that's how faith was meant to be. Not a system, not a struggle, but simply a hand on your shoulder. Someone saying, "Come on in, a beer won't save you." But it can remind you that you're not alone, that we're all searching, and that no one really knows for sure. The night came to an end. The lights above the bar grew softer, the voices a little lower. I paid, put on my coat, and looked back once more at the people still sitting there. "Maybe," I said, "doubt is just another word for hope." They nodded, and for a moment it felt like that was enough. No one needed more than that. A beer, a bit of kindness, a bit of trust, and the simple realization that, despite everything, we still have something to share.